molding young men and mentoring.
You're live.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
No, you're good, man. Keep talking.
going.
No,
Yeah,
and I think, as you said, an alpha in the room is really important. Where if you do it the right way, people will respect it, and you lead by example, which is important. But the boys need it. The boys need that strong leader that will support them no matter what, but also not be soft.
Right.
I think that's really important with this age group coming up, and it's essential for program success too.
Yep.
Where the boys are not afraid to get after it. Be loud, be proud, but in a respectful way.
Right.
I think that's the most crucial part.
Right, man. That's what I love about football is like it brings you to that edge of combat and violence and controlled chaos.
Correct.
And it's about as close as the military, in my opinion, as you're going to get as far as like the physical demand, the mental demand, and no comparison at all, obviously, for the people that serve our country.
Absolutely
No doubt.
not.
No doubt.
But when it comes to 11 on 11, battling in the trenches, every down for 65 downs or whatever, I got to beat your ass or you're going to try to beat my ass.
Correct.
Like that brings a different animal out of you and beast out of you. And when you grind through that, through your youth, through your young adult life, it just turns you into something different, in my opinion.
Yes.
And when you're thrusted back into the real world, right?
Yeah, right.
It's easier to compete.
Yep.
Especially in 2026, where we grew up with a lot of people who received and give participation trophies.
Yes.
Being grinded through a game that is so demanding of you, where winning is never guaranteed, success is never guaranteed. You can work your ass off for 8 months out of the year and not win a game, and still have your cup feel like it's full.
Yeah.
And to your point, Coach, like men need that.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. And you said perfectly about not winning games and still have a good experience in football. But our goal as a program, especially, is to prepare those kids for post-life Potomac, right? Where only a handful will play at the next level, maybe not play at all. And we want them to be able to go through those tough times or tough conversations or receive feedback, positive or negative, right? Internalize those feelings and then be able to produce those after Potomac, right? And that they're not stuck in, their feelings, right? Where they can talk to adults freely or not text, right? And talk to them face to face. Or if you have a problem, kind of handle it on their own terms, not with their parents, right? And I think that's a big stepping stone. And as a coach and mentor, that's what we want to do. We want to help them grow. We want to help them be great football players. And the structure of a football program is what's so crucial for that growth.
That's a big point you made. We actually had a conversation about that this past weekend. It's like the lost art of communication in this current generation because they're stuck behind a screen.
Correct.
They don't know how to interact, whereas we, because we're all in the same wheelhouse, we were outside. We were forced to talk to people. There wasn't this much technology in our face. It was starting, and we had the AOL, right?
Yeah, instant messenger.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
But
Yep.
we were still forced to be outside, which our parents, hey, come back in the house when the street lights come on. These kids don't get that. They're, as soon as they get home or after practice, they're jumping on their game systems and they're putting their headsets on and they're closing the door and they're literally that's their world.
That's their lock-in.
And it's like, no, you need that community. You need that. Hey, bro, come over to the house. We used to go to our friends' houses and N64, PlayStation 1, 4 controllers on one thing. We're all staring at the same screen, and that
Golden Eye.
Yes, Golden Eye.
Super Smash Bros. Yeah, man.
But we were
odd job in the basement.
The big heads, mini big heads.
That was
terrible
a good rule.
graphics.
That was a good rule back in the day.
It was.
Yep.
But we interacted with each other, and I think that's the lost art that a lot of these kids are missing.
Yes.
Now you do see some out there, but it's not what we experience.
You know what you see a lot now? It's more organized, right? You got a parent putting together something, or you got a league, or you got a clinic, or it's not like us four going out to the park, finding a ball and playing a game, right? So it's a lot more oversight now. Now they're still out in the fields, but there's no more, we're going to meet at the park at, on a summer day at 10, play 4 hours of hoops, go to 7-Eleven, then go do something else, right? It's more, hey, we're having an organized camp which costs money, right? With the camp industry now in our area is through the roof in terms of costs, right? Even my 2 kids going to camp all summer, it's not cheap, right? And I'm running camps, right? I got to make a living through the school and everything, and it's a big deal. But that I see a lot more organized kind of play, even at the younger age, like 6 and 7-year-olds, where it's a structured practice. It's like these kids can't even walk straight.
Yeah.
Like let them make mistakes.
Let them go.
Don't coach them. Like obviously, if you're doing a practice, you got to coach them, but let them have fun. Let them be silly. They're gonna mess up. They're gonna do it wrong, and that's the point of development for that age group. Yeah. And then the biggest thing is not as you get older, a lot of the times you're seeing these outside teams, which I respect a lot. The club sports team I love, but they become a little too intense, right? As the practices gear up, and then what you're seeing is participation kind of drop off on the high school level, right? Because of their schedules are so packed, right? And then whether you're playing, outside baseball, basketball, lacrosse, you name it, golf, tennis, the schedules now demand you so much for that individual sport. It's hard on the families and the kids, especially for football coaches like myself, and you all played football. You need to be able to train before you step out in August.
Right.
If you show up the first day of August, let's call it 14th, right? You haven't done anything all summer. You've done minimal work. You're probably going to get injured, and not a bad injury, but soft tissue, hamstring, something like that, shoulder. And it's because the schedules are so packed now that they can't really focus on working out as much as we would like them to. And I think that's just our culture now. And we have a really good basketball team here, and Coach Jeremy Myers, a good buddy of mine, and he's pushing for, he wants to beat O'Connell. He wants to beat St. Stephen's. He wants to push for that Vista State title. And he's got a bunch of my guys, or I got a bunch of his guys, as we say. And, they got workouts in the fall. So how do I diplomatically say, hey, guys, to my players, listen to your body, right? If you're playing a game on Saturday, maybe you don't go full go on a Sunday on the workout, right? So I think that's the thing that we're kind of working with the multi-sport guys and the intensity of the outside sports outside of high school. And it's a fine line to cross and to work with, but I enjoy our athletes being multi-sport guys.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's a huge thing. Is I don't want them to hear my voice 10 months out of the year. Right. I think they would get tired of it. You put down the pads, put down the football, go play something else. I think that's really important.
Yeah. No, I think the more sports kids play when they're younger, functionality wise, it's better for them.
Correct.
You said a funny thing, like everything is so structured now.
Yeah.
I think that happens even earlier when kids are like 2 years old.
Yeah.
When parents are, do you want to have a play date?
Right.
Like, what the hell is a play date?
My daughter's in one right now.
So everything from play to organized sports, it's like everything is so organized. To your point,
the scheduling. Like my wife was texting the other mom, and she's like, "Are you doing this?" I'm like, "Well, I got the podcast. Like, I gotta go." Brent's calling me. Like, he's at school, right? And she's like, "All right, well, I'll take it." And my son's like downstairs playing 2K. Yelling at the TV screen. She's like, what am I going to do with this animal down here? I'm like, you got to bring him. He can't come to the podcast. He'll knock all these lights over. So I think you're right. It's organized.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
So from a like a multi-sport perspective, do you see that being more of an issue, as the wear and tear progresses through the season? And do you guys try to dive more into recruiting for individual sports in that regard, or is it just a transition at this point?
I think in the private school landscape, if for independent schools, we say, you need multi-sport athletes to survive in your program, in any sport, right? Because we only have a limited number of students in our building in the upper school, right, that participate in varsity sports. So if you don't have a multi-sport guy or girl, your team's not going to be one of the top ones.
Right.
Yeah. And there's some athletes that are phenomenal. Like we have here at Potomac, all our sports are very competitive. Our girls' sports are elite, right? If you're a girl in the Northern Virginia, DMV, you come to Potomac for the academics and the athletics on the girls' side. Same with the boys, but our girls' teams are very competitive across the board, every single one. But with multi-sport, if we don't have guys that play two at least, then you're not getting the best athletes across the board.
Agreed.
And so, our coaches, we're all very close here. We're tight. We're a tight-knit fraternity. We all respect each other. All of us were high school or college level athletes. We've been here for a long time, right? So we know our culture, and we try to work with our best in our academic world because we are a very high-intense academic school. So if our guys and girls can't do the work at Potomac, it's a tough environment for them. Now, they can get through and you're going to do well, but you have some really high flyers here. So then if you can manage the expectations of your academic performance, if you're not a top dog and be okay, then you're fine. But if academics is a focus here for us. So, probably 80% of my football players are multi-sport guys.
Copy. And do you guys, when you do recruit to come to Potomac, is that more on the academic track? Is there like a testing that happens, or is it more like financial based? How does that happen?
That's a great question. Yeah. So whenever I bring in a potential student athlete, our rule is they got to make first contact with us first. So families reach out to us, we do that, and then we can kind of go through the whole recruiting process to see if you're a good fit here or if you want to come here. There's a lot of times, I go to these football clinics and, you got guys looking at Prep, Landon, Gonzaga, Ireton, O'Connell, and it's like, that's a big list. Do you want to come to Potomac? That's really my philosophy where, I could recruit all over the DMV, but is it going to be a good fit? That's really my focus as well. So to the application process at Potomac is where you take, you got to come in for a campus tour. Okay. You got to have an interview with the admissions representative. You got to fill out an application in a Ravenna system. Ravenna is kind of the independent school application system. So if you apply to any private school in the DMV, you go through Ravenna. Then you have to submit your SSAT scores, which is kind of like your admissions test for independent schools. It's kind of like a basic cognitive ability test. Okay. And then and that's for 9th grade. If you're a transfer, 10th or 11th grade at Potomac, we don't accept 12th grade transfers, senior transfers. Then we want to see your PSAT or SAT scores, ACT. Transcript is non-negotiable. Got to submit your transcript and 2 references from current teachers. So it's a really vetted process. And we have very limited spots, and all of our coaches are trying to find some great kids, boys and girls. Right. And we also have a nationally ranked speech and debate team, a nationally ranked robotics team, an excellent theater program, excellent music program. So you're competing with those programs as well. It's not just athletics. So, right. And yeah.
No, you're good. You're good.
And then, when we find the right fit, that's a boy and girl that's here, we like to kind of see if they do something else. So, yeah, you can play football, but do you run track? Do you play baseball? Are you a lacrosse guy? Lacrosse seems very competitive. Do you wrestle? Right? Do you do something else that you can kind of put the icing on the cake to make your profile complete and be something more than just an athlete? And right. Kind of compete on both sides. And what are your extracurriculars? Do you play any? Do you have any musical talent? Do you play any instruments? What are your interests outside of school? And so then that's how we kind of convince it that way to make sure that you're the right fit.
Really narrow it down.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I want to come to Potomac for the academics, but then they're like, oh, the athletic program is not where, we see it. And that's fine. There's plenty of other schools for you to go to because there are 300 people waiting for that one spot, right? Yeah. So that's the hard part for our admissions team, which is I have a lot of respect for them. And, I try not to kick down the door and say, hey, this is the person I want. It's got to happen organically. It's got to happen one thing at a time. And I think when it works really well, when we bring in great transfers, it's really fun. Yeah. And they fit into the school. They fit into the culture. It's not just they're here for sports, right? They want to be here. They do well academically. The parents want to be here. So it's not just like a bridge to get to the next thing. It's like you're going to a new school, and you have to be here, and you have to want it and like it. And I always tell when we bring in transfers or new kids, it's like you are lucky to be at Potomac. There's one of the best private schools in the area.
I agree.
Some people say in the country.
I always read about it, but I've never been here.
Same.
Yeah, and it's we're a K through 12 co-ed independent school, right? So it's kindergarten through 12th grade, and we got about 1,100 students on campus, about 120 in each grade in the upper school. So you're dealing with about 480 in the upper school. So not a big upper school, but not a small one, right?
Makes sense about the focus on academics with the number of kids you had. That classroom's smaller, so more attention to the kids.
So you got about 12 to 15 kids in class. Your math class, English class, history, science, world language, and our upper school is only about 20 years old, 25 years old. I don't know the exact, it's slipping me right now, but it's very young. So now all the alumni that went through the upper school now are in their 50s, right? So now we're starting to see this whole new crop of alumni kids coming to Potomac and then interest in athletics. And then you see this beautiful building here in the Spangler Center for Athletics Community, which is, the focal point of our whole athletic program here, and, all school assemblies and all of our traditions here. So it's a big deal. And this is the athletic hub of everything that goes on here. So kids leave the upper school. It's about a 6-minute walk from across campus. They come right here, and this place is buzzing at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, I'd imagine you have a lot of those late Gen X's and early millennials that are huge sports fanatics, and they're like, "Now we're coming back, man. We got to put money in this thing. We got to put money in this."
Yeah, just like you said. And I know my head of school is probably going to kill me for this, but you said you don't have any lights, right? And where are the lights, right? And where are the stands? And I think those things come, right? And they cost money. Yeah. So it's not like you can snap your fingers and you get new stands and lights. And
I thought it was like a MAC thing, because the MAC schools we visited, a lot of them don't have lights. And I'm not going to list out the names of the other schools.
No, none of them have lights. Now that I think about it, you're absolutely right. I mean, Flint Hill's done this. We've done this. Episcopal has lights now, but we had some great Friday night lights here where we brought in lights before.
Oh,
it's
Flint Hill does that.
Yeah,
they bring in the generators because they have one Friday
up.
night lights.
Yep. It's a cool environment. It's killer.
It is.
We had about 3,000 people out here for a game.
Oh man, that's beautiful.
Right, and you got the food trucks. You got we also have our theater department puts on their play. So it's you got all walks of life here. But the football game's a focal point. It starts at 7, and you got people out everywhere, families, friends.
Well, it's the Coliseum, man.
It
you
is.
Know what I mean?
It is, exactly.
So all the spectacles come out, and around the stadium, just like around the Coliseum, are all your vendors, and they're going to want to push their stuff out and their their brand out.
I thought it was really cool, the game that we came to last year when you guys played Flint Hill. All the parents lined up in the line, and the kids ran through the line. That was like, to me, that showed me community.
Right.
The community is involved. They cared to be involved. It was a really good vibe.
Yeah, I'm glad you saw it, because if you walk over that bridge, we call it our Panther Walk out to the turf, and that's kind of something newly we implemented when I became head coach, and now it's starting to grow a little bit, and it's a fun thing because we have that's our building. We want to protect this building. We want to play for the school, each other, our community. And you walk across that bridge, it's go time, right? And you got the JV kids out there. So we start football here in 7th grade. So you got the 7th, 8th graders out there. You got the JV guys that are not dressing for varsity. You got all the parents. You got all the friends and family. So we kind of eventually want to line that whole thing going up to the turf.
That's cool.
So so it takes time. Whenever you implement something new in a program, it's not going to be right away.
Right.
You saw that, and that was Flint Hill's a big rivalry for us, right? Big one out of Oakton, and shout out Coach Peterson, right? Much love, and we that's a big game for us for the community, and it's well attended on both sides. And then this fall we'll go up to Flint Hill, and on the 1st, November 1st, and we'll rock and roll. Or sorry, November 7th, and we'll rock and roll over there.
Yeah, the chain bridge battle. That's what I call
it. Yeah. Well, we actually Coach Sabs is going to be mad at you on that. We played O'Connell first time in school history 2 years ago, and Sabatino was like, battle of Chain Bridge.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I'm gonna let you guys have
Sabs and I were talking about that, and then we got him the first year and we got him the second year, and Sab's like, I think we're done with this competition. But no, shout out to Coach Sabatino. He's got a good squad over there. But yeah, we're gonna re-up with O'Connell again this year, and I think that's a great WCAC Potomac School matchup. Flint Hill. Our schedule is great this year. We open up with Collegiate out of Richmond, and we can get into Richmond football. I mean, that's no joke in terms of out there and what they're doing out there private school wise. But we open up with Collegiate, go to St. Albans in DC, which is a great game for us. Very, very similar school. We've played them the last probably 10 years. Took a hiatus for a little bit. St. Albans rebuilt, and then they have a pretty good program now. So Collegiate, St. Albans, we got bye week. Then we go St. John Paul the Great. Then we go O'Connell. Then we go Murray, Kip DC, St. James, Sidwell, Flint Hill. There's our 9 games.
Okay, so you're kind of bouncing all over the place.
Bounce all over the place. And I've tried to make our schedule a little more local. We'd like to play those Virginia teams because, in our league, we play in 2 different conferences. Yes. So we play in the MAC, which is Sidwell, St. James, Murray, Flint Hill, and us. So 5 teams. St. Andrews and GDS do not have football, so they're not in for football, obviously. And then we play in the Vista, which is the Virginia Independent School Secondary School Association in the state of Virginia. And they divide it into 2 divisions, Division I, Division II, just by population of boys in the upper school. And we used to be in Division II. And a couple coaches before me, this guy, Pat Duffy, great guy, took them to the state finals in Division II. But now that we've increased enrollment in the upper school, we're with the big boys. So it's us, Flint Hill, Trinity Episcopal, Benedictine, St. Chris, Collegiate, Norfolk Academy, St. Stephen's, Episcopal. They all compete in that Division I. There's only 4 playoff spots for a state championship. So I've tried to diplomatically the last 2 years try to expand it in the state of Virginia, or make it an A division or B division, where you could have more teams for playoffs aspirations. Because our MAC, we don't have playoffs, just by record. So after that Flint Hill game, we'll name a MAC champion, right? So there's really no postseason. And it's good and bad, because basketball for us starts the 15th, right, of November.
So they run into each other, yeah.
So if we were to play in a postseason and we were to advance one year, we're in the state championship, you're a week behind in basketball. I also like to give those kids a break, before they go into hoops, right? So, but it's fun competing for both, because they break out the standings every week, the coaches poll, the record poll. So it's like it's posted and it's high flying. And Benedictine out of Richmond is very good, very good. And Coach Lilly out there is doing really well. And they need to start playing WCAC teams, because they're beating up on the Richmond teams. And WCAC needs to find teams outside of their league as well, and not going to Florida, Texas, right? They can find, there's a lot of local good football, and Benedictine out of Richmond is no joke.
Yep.
And, they're state title contenders every year. And Trinity Episcopal is the same way out of Richmond, right? And I think they're starting to play, I think they might be playing Gonzaga this year, or St. John's. But I think those teams, the MIAA teams should start playing each other a little bit more, just for a little more local flair. And then you have Collegiate and St. Christopher. So St. Christopher is all boys school, kind of like Georgetown Prep out of Richmond, and they are phenomenal. They had this guy Darius Gray, defensive tackle, is going to Georgia, right? So they got ballers out there. And then you got Collegiate, who's pretty much the same school as us, co-ed, private independent school, and very good games with them as well, back and forth. So the Richmond teams are very good. Richmond public schools are pretty good too out there. So they got some really good football. So, but the conference stuff is interesting. You have in our league, in our world, you got WCAC, you got the IAC, you got the MAC, you got the MIAA, right? And you got your DC privates, DC publics, and there's a lot of scheduling back and forth.
Overlap, yeah.
You're like, who do we play outside of our conference, right? And you want to create competitive games, but not kill your season, right? And there's a lot of schools, unfortunately, and a lot of people agree with me in the private school world, is that philosophies do not match up. And that's a fact. And that's not me saying that this is wrong or this is right. But a school wants to go a certain direction, another school is not going to go that way, right? The competitive nature of that shifts a little bit.
Right, and they continue to play each other year in.
Correct. And then the one school's like, well, why can't we be like that school, right? And then that school is kind of like saying, well, we're all in on X, Y, Z, football, track, basketball, and this school's staying neutral across boards, and they want to be competitive, not really push for those state titles, but have good programming, good experiences, make the kids have a good time, and then win some games as well. You want to be competitive. So that's in our area is going through a little bit of a shift. And, and I know a lot of people agree with me on that one, because big thing is admission standards, right, in terms of who they're bringing in, when they're doing it, if they're reclassing. And there's really no oversight besides the independent school associations by state, right? And then it's kind of like interior, how do we manage it, expectations, right, within our school. And our head of school is outstanding individual, John Kowalik. You ever heard of the DeBarton School in New Jersey?
Mm-mm.
All right, so it's his private all-boys Catholic school up in Morristown, New Jersey, and they're top 25 in the country every year, football and other sports too. Lacrosse is very good.
Yes.
Yep. Wrestling's outstanding. Lacrosse is huge. Very, very, very big time school up in Morristown, New Jersey. He was their head coach for a long time, football coach, and New Jersey State Hall of Fame football coach. So we we have a really good understanding of terms of who we want to play as a coach and then as a head of school, and where we see our team every year, and how do we stay competitive and keep our kids healthy. And we could go play we could play Benedictine, but we might not be able to play a great games moving forward, right? During the regular season. So it's just, how do we maintain that competitive balance? And I think that's the most important aspect of that. And we've had to do some shuffling, and there's some schools I had to drop some schools. Some schools dropped me this year, and I won't say who. And it happens, and you got to find a like-minded opponent that you tell them straight up, hey, we're pretty good this year. You want to play, right? We'll give you a second game. And there were teams last year that we played that owed me a game this fall that didn't re-up, and you get it. As a football coach, you get it. You're not going to complain about it. It's unfortunate because you kind of want to honor that home and away thing.
Right.
Because in public school, you got your, as a former public school student, a former public school teacher in Montgomery County, you got your schedule. It's set by the county. In Fairfax County, same thing. Like, you can maybe figure out a scrimmage here and there, but your schedule is your schedule. There's no deviating, right? With us, a team can technically drop us tomorrow in private school world, right? But you try not to do that, right? So you try to set up competitive games before conference play that can give you good football and, make it fun for both schools. I think that's the most. But you want every program to succeed, like longevity, right? And if you're beating down a team and they don't have the numbers, and you want to be able to call the dogs off or something, and give them the ability to play good football and live the next week, right? I think that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, so you said a lot. You said a lot there, Coach. I want to scale back a little bit.
Yeah.
On one of the things that you said with bringing the athletes in organically. Do you think that with the donors that are donating back being fans of sports, do you see schools like Potomac moving in a direction where they are advocating for athletes organically through their academia? And I'll give you an example. We talk all the time with a lot of private school coaches, and what they do on the marketing and communications and the media side is they're saying, yeah, we're bringing these kids in, but we're using the NIL, and we're using the branding mechanism to say, okay, yes, you can take an academic track that way.
Sure.
You can be the face of the New Jersey Devils. You can be the face of the New York Rangers or the New York Giants or whoever, or the voice of them. And it starts here, you know. And you can go to Syracuse University and go to a Newhouse, you know what I mean? And major in communications or broadcast journalism or sports journalism or whatever.
Right.
And I'm always interested to see and hear the perspective of coaches who coach at private schools. Do you see private schools moving in that direction where they do see the communication side and they say, this is an academic opportunity for us,
right,
where we can not only still bolster our academic prowess and prestige, but also bring in athletes who are looking to brand themselves at a high capacity? We have the academic side. We have the resources. We have a great drama department, which means we have great studios and lighting and microphones and all the things, right? And all we need to do is convince these athletes that we can make them a high-profile athlete here through this track. Do you see Potomac moving in that direction, or has that thought even been planted? Or
no, I think Potomac does that extremely well right now.
Gotcha.
In terms of the type of student that we're trying to find that would be an asset for the school, right? And I think our alumni base is very strong, and where we've placed kids in sports, is high-level Ivy, NESCAC, service academies, MIT, Northwestern, Wake Forest. I mean, you name it, all over the place. But that is known with us. And so they know a lot of the parents that look at Potomac and really appreciate the full round experience, the complete experience that you're going to get, where you may want to excel yourself for your brand for sports, but the complete package is what we're going for, right? And we haven't really gone into the NIL world yet at Potomac in terms of a big payday for a male or female athlete, but it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. And, it's probably going to happen with one of our football guys here, rising junior defensive end, who's a special kid. And it's going to happen with our basketball guys, well, our girls will especially, but our boys too. It's going to happen very soon. And I think once we kind of enter in that world, it changes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it takes a couple to get over the mountain, right? Recruiting's one thing. You know, we have a lot of kids who get recruited, but once you start the NIL thing, the NIL discussion, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets you up for new students who are looking for that.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. They're like, wow, Potomac can handle that.
Yeah.
Their level of competition is high. They have the infrastructure in the athletic department and the support in the upper school, and you know they support that endeavor. I think that's a big thing. Where do families feel supported on the route they're going for athletics?
Right.
And if that's the case, I think you're absolutely right. It will start kind of pushing the envelope for those high level athletes.
You got to, right?
Correct.
If you're moving with the times.
I agree.
You know, the collegiate landscape is changing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you say your girls sports here are elite,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you're going to develop with the times that the NCAA is putting before us,
Yeah.
we all know it's the Wild West right now. Mm-hmm. The bigger question becomes, how do you get these athletes more brand ready and marketing ready?
Absolutely.
And if you're a school like the Potomac School, it's like, well, we get them ready through academia, and we get them ready through media readiness, and
Yep.
we get them ready through all these facets that develop the athlete both on and off the field, so that if they did become a face of a franchise or an institution in the future,
Right.
when a coach comes in, recruits here, they know they're getting brand ready, D1 ready,
Right.
juiced up athletes, and we're the obvious choice. What we talked about off camera,
Right.
You have a reputation, the school has a reputation. You want to send complete packages to the next level. You don't want to just send, you don't want to send dud athletes, but
No.
if they happen to be a dud athlete, like, hey, at least they're a great person, right?
Yep.
Or to your point that you were making earlier, we have to use our resources to place these athletes in a spot where they're going to be successful.
Correct.
And not where they're just going to go just to walk on or just try
Yeah.
out, because they'll burn out. They'll they may not be mentally ready for that.
Correct.
Or the experience the juice may not be worth the squeeze, if you will.
There you go.
Right. So I love that. I always love picking coaches' brains when it comes to that. Like, how do you see the school, especially a private school, moving in the direction where they're aligning themselves with collegiate-ready athletes?
Yep.
And you answer that perfectly. It's inevitable, I guess, what you're saying.
And I think it's really important you slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everyone wants to go boom, 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 boom. And it's a process with
Right.
NIL. If you've talked to any college coaches or any NIL lawyers who I've spoken to, I mean, you can imagine we have lawyers at the Potomac School.
I bet.
Right? And some very smart
bet.
ones, right? And very knowledgeable people. And actually a good friend of mine is on this NIL committee who's setting up national NIL standards. And you have to go slow. Because if you implement something and that doesn't work, then you got to change course. That information kind of gets lost,
Sure.
right? And I think, we have 2 national level girls soccer players, right? They're the top dogs in the area. Now, do they play for Team USA or do they play for their country? Or, those are the type of athletes that are the next ones coming up because they want the academics, they want the athletic experience, and they want the support. But I think, like we said, going slow and then coming up with policy for how the school presents with itself and then working with each individual athlete, I think that's really important.
Yeah.
Where the families have the communication, the understanding. I'm working with one family right now for the recruiting process, and it is like drinking out of a fire hose because this kid's a stud. And mom's like, help me. Do I respond to this DM from this coach? Do I respond? And I'm telling her, we laid it all out. I said, just send them to me. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go from there because it's hard for parents. It's social media is not easy right away. And it's a new landscape because even college coaches, right? What do they work through? Twitter, text messages, right? And it's some phone calls here, or they talk to you at camp. So it's very impersonal kind of movement, right? Where then once you get them on campus, they get the spiel, they get everything. So it's, then offers come, but I think it's important to slow it down for the parents as well.
Right.
I always ask my athletes that want to be recruited in football, give me your wish list, right? And we do the 20 schools of the wish list. Now give me 5 realistic placements for you, right? And then you see the different lists and you're like, oh, all right, this makes sense. So we'll go after these 5 ones that you think you can play in. and then we'll keep in contact with these other 15 over here.
Yeah.
So that you're not throwing out spam emails, and college coaches will appreciate this, to 40 coaches being like, hey, coach, I run a 5.2 and blah, blah, blah. And, I here's my vertical. And it's like, okay, what pops? What makes you pop and makes you want them to recruit you? And that's where the realistic placement comes in.
Yep.
And that's a hard conversation to have with young men, because you're like, oh, you don't believe in me. It's like, no, I do believe in you, my dude. But
You got to be realistic on where you're going.
I look at him, I'm like, I believe in you because I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
If I wasn't talking to you, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's right.
Right? And I'm trying to say, maybe that Virginia Tech idea playing for Coach Franklin is probably not going to work out, because XYZ. Here are the 4 schools that want you to come, right? And it might be Christopher Newport. It might be Franklin and Marshall. It might be Dickinson. You know what I mean? But they want you to play. Then, therefore, research the academic programming. Do you see yourself there? Great. If you do, awesome. Go get some film. If you want to be a beast, go lift. Go start freshman, sophomore year, play high D3 football, and you may love it. You may meet your friends for life, and then you're set. And you played high-level football, and you had a great time. And I watch these D3 games all the time. I go to Georgetown, watch the Hoyas play. I mean, that's legit football. The Georgetown William and Mary game, now Richmond Villanova in that conference now.
It has to be if you want to get good film
My
and
God.
go D1.
So,
it has
that,
to be.
That's the thing that I was talking to a good buddy of mine. All those schools now are going to be loaded in the Patriot League.
Yep.
And in, like, I was talking about like the Tulanes, the East Carolinas, like the Nevadas.
Yeah.
The smaller schools that if you have a good coach that can gel a group of athletes together that are making money, but those guys that get cut from those big, let's say top 25, top 30 schools, and now they get infused into those programs, you're going to win. Now, you may not win a natty, but you're going to win a bowl game, and you're going to have successful teams, and you're going to have butts in the stands, and you're going to make some money, right? Now with the new NIL allocations for all athletic departments, right? You have money, right, in Division I football. So I think also when those rosters get cut, they'll go to the Towsons, they'll go to the William and Mary's, Richmonds, Lehighs, Lafayette's, Fordham's, and then that football is going to be infused with talent. Like, look at Elon. Their starting quarterback last year. Where is he right now? LSU, right? Elon. I went to High Point University in North Carolina, so I'm right near there. But
You just mentioned Christopher Newport. Where's their quarterback now?
where's
Penn State.
He's at Penn State. There you go. Right?
Right.
So everyone's like, oh, I can play D3 football. I'm like, guys, go out to a practice. That is very good football. And those guys are fighting for tape to get to that next level or to stay relevant, right? And now JUCOs, and they're getting influx of talent too, because those D1 guys have no place to go. They'll go to JUCO and get film, right? And then the new eligibility rule just came in, the 5 for 5, right? And that's a hard one, because you can't have the JUCO guys that come in after 2 years and they have 4 years eligibility. Then they have 6 years, then they redshirt, then it's in the 7th year, right? So I think that's going to change some things as well.
It is. It's going to change reclass. It's going to change a lot of things.
Right.
One thing that you said was trying to find the right schedule for your team.
Yep.
I think there's way too many leagues in this area, and I think that if the smaller populated schools and the academic focused schools got together and said, hey, this is good for us.
Clip that, please. Clip that. Right Clip that right now.
And the athletic driven
Yep.
or motivated schools got together and said, hey, we're just going to be independent and put each other on each other's schedule based on previous year's optics, based on previous year's records, based on where our roster's at. We're grown ass men. We can figure it out.
We may need to put you on the.
It's just obvious, man. I mean, it's just so obvious to me,
you
know,
hit the
and
nail on the head.
And then, for the public schools, to me, the area is so competitive. You can take a Concord district and a Patriot district and say, you know what, we're going to have a classic for the first week.
Right.
Where our number one and your number one from previous year play each other, and we're just going to do it down the bottom line like that. Then the next week, we may do it with the Concord district and maybe QO's district from Maryland, where the ones versus ones and the twos versus twos play each other. Then the next week we do, or and then in that same week, maybe we do Northern Virginia's Class 4, whatever, Loudoun County ends up going to play some of the schools from PG County.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Where the 3A or the 2A schools over there are playing some of the smaller schools in Virginia. You have a population. We have years and years of data on how successful these programs are.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
It's
too.
fun
Those
to
games.
watch.
It is.
Every
Football
year
in
that I
this
went,
area is so good.
every year that I went to a Stonebridge and QO game, I had me at the edge of my seats, and I had front row tickets to it
Right.
because we were filming
I
it.
think I saw you. I was on QO sideline that game.
Yeah.
Because
No.
I know John well. And,
Okay, yeah.
it's
At QO or at Stone?
It was at QO.
Yeah.
That game was
The fumble
crazy.
that wasn't the fumble.
Fumble,
that
it
was
wasn't
maybe
the
the
fumble. I said I gotta get out of here. I was like, I gotta go,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But being from Montgomery County, right, and teaching in Montgomery County and going to public school, I went to Whitman in Bethesda, Maryland, and played there and taught. I taught at Whitman for 7 years before I came to Potomac. Those good Montgomery County teams are awesome, right? And it's kind of just like. The good Montgomery County teams, what I've learned in Northern Virginia, there's so much history there, right? Historic high school football, and I've learned in, you went to Centerville, right? So the Ville, as they call it, right?
Yep.
And Tilly and Scott Vossler up in Westfield, and they were nice enough the past couple of years to invite us over to that team camp over at Westfield, right?
Yep.
And then you see Battlefield, you see Tilly, you see Flint Hill, you see all those schools up, Patriot, and you're
Then you go
Get
down
up-
the other way, Woodbridge, and you know what I mean?
Right, but
Yeah.
even when you get up to Westfield, that team camp, you're like, oh my God, like this is another level of football, right? And you're like, we have a good team, but you see the linemen, like you see the 12 coaches out there, and you're like, this is some prideful stuff. And the same thing in Montgomery County, where QO,
Yep.
Damascus,
Yep.
Northwest, and old school Seneca Valley, right? Back in the day, Germantown, which is one of the more high-profile high school teams in the country back in the 70s
Yes.
and 80s, right? The Screaming Eagles. And John Kelly's brother, Chris Kelly,
Yep.
played there. One of the best quarterbacks I ever played against, right?
Yeah,
And
he had to tackle him.
attack Chris Kelly. You had to attack Chris. Where'd you go?
Centerville.
you went
We
to- oh,
scrimmaged.
you
We
scrimmaged Seneca
scrimmaged
Valley.
Seneca Valley, and
Yeah, no thank you.
yeah, exactly. No, I was telling
Thank you.
Coach Kelly this.
You're probably on the poster of Chris Kelly jumping over the end zone.
So
at Seneca.
we went there for a scrimmage, and it was his senior year.
Oh.
And thank God lightning hit, because that game was gonna get out of hand
Yeah.
really fast.
Right.
And I remember, he's one of my favorite players from this area ever,
Yep.
because he was a all-state quarterback and an all-state middle linebacker, which
yeah.
I'm like, how?
Yeah.
This dude laid out our starting safety in that game.
Yeah, who is?
Which this dude was the hardest hitter we had in our team. He's Donnie Warren's kid.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And he laid him out, and we're all sitting here like,
It's like watching Superman get shot.
right, yeah.
You're like, I'm going to unbuckle this now, and we're going to
And
go back
he
to
was
the bus.
just running up and down the field on us. It was like 30-0, and
Yeah.
thank God the lightning hit and they called the game. We got
Yeah.
back at the buses and went home.
And you think of Darnell Dockett.
Oh, yeah, he's a
Paint Branch,
beast,
right?
yeah.
So he was a man child, right? And I've met
44.
him a few times and at a Paint Branch, and Mike Nesmith's the head coach there still, and he's a beast. And but there's what I was talking, the history of when I've in this county, in Fairfax County, and then Montgomery County, there's a lot of rich history in high school football.
absolutely.
Which I appreciate, because a lot of people, I'm not like a high school football historian in Montgomery County, but I was in it. I love it. I know the coaches, it's a small fraternity, right? So it's fun to talk about, and then you meet, our family members, or we went to all other high schools, Gaithersburg, Sherwood, QO, Wooten, Whitman, WJ Churchill, BCC, you got Rockville High School, and then the big ones, Damascus, Northwest, QO. Now it's like Blake High School's up there, Clarksburg now. So there's a lot of good football up in Montgomery County. And then, you learn about McLean, Langley, Oakton, Madison, Washington, Liberty, right? And and Yorktown and Centerville, and the history of that, and all the coaches going certain places. And I'm learning more every year about Nova football, and I have a lot of respect on that, which I love, and it's fun to hear about. And when I go to the Westfield, the team camp, you hear all the coaches just talking trash.
Yeah.
And they all know each other, and this coach used to coach here, and there's this great offensive line coach with a mullet. I think it might have been Battlefield, or maybe Centerville. that guy just, he's the man. He's like 6'4", and he's always dapping me up and thanking us. But I mean, he's like a true dude out there. And I look at him coaching their guys, and I'm like, I don't know if that would be a good fit with us. But I love watching him coach, and it's great because you see it. Every football team has their coaching staffs that are in the same boat, right? You're trying to create a winning football team with a good culture, get the kids in the gym and understand to get out of their feelings.
Right.
Yep.
Right? Where, yes, your feelings matter, but not when you're on the football field.
Exactly.
Right? I don't want to see your hands up in the air. I don't want to see any type of bad body language. You should be thankful that you're on this field right now and that I am giving the time, or the coaching staff's giving the time to coach you to be able to play this great game. Yeah. So that's what we try to do here. We're tough on our kids, but we're also building them. Yep. I think that's the biggest thing we're trying to push forward.
Yeah, I mean, the more athletes that you can find that align with the school philosophy. Correct. I think the better the programs are going to be, right? And what a great area to be in, because I don't know if this type of recipe works in a lot of other areas, right? Because we're in such a high athletic area, but is also one of the most affluent areas in the country. Right. You put a pin in the middle of DC, draw a 25-mile radius around it, you're going to hit 7 out of the 7 out of 20 wealthiest counties in America.
Yes.
We're going to be competitive in academics and athletics.
And you're consistently getting people coming in and out because of the government.
Yep. Yes. And
that's a great
point. You just have you're in a great position to create that type of model. And but that's also why the public schools are very successful around here too. Oh, yeah. Because they offer a lot of great academics as well.
Correct.
But to your point, man, it's just what really just boggles my mind a lot of the time is just when we don't allow for the competition in this area to thrive.
Right.
Right. Yes. We just don't allow.
Yeah, there's a
very
block.
closed line. Yeah. And
I agree.
And it gets exposed every single year. Whenever a Northern Virginia team goes to states and faces a Beach team or a Richmond team. Nova's going to hate me for this. It happens every single year I talk about it.
The only person who's willing to go battle is Counts.
Yeah.
Counts Madison?
Yes, Counts will go play a tougher team in the preseason to say to his guys, like, this is what you're going to see in the fall.
Coach Golson, I would say Coach Golson too.
Coach Golson too, yes.
But Mickey had a tradition at Stonebridge of doing that, where they would go play a QO. They would go play. When was the last time you saw a Nova team go play Martinsburg?
Never.
You know what I mean?
Never.
Nobody wants to smoke with that team.
No.
And they're literally
right there.
Hop, skip, and a jump over a couple of lakes and rivers. You know what I mean? But if this area wants to thrive, in my opinion, and it needs to reassess in the private sector, it needs to reassess, reassess the values that some of these academies have and some of these private schools have. And then on the public side, it would be nice to just see us step outside of our comfort zone and schedule. And I don't mean like a Langley playing a Battlefield. No. Right? I mean like a Langley playing a Friendship. Yeah. Right? Or
a little crosstown.
Eastern.
Right?
Eastern. Or
you don't want to play Eastern.
Eastern coming over Eastern coming over like Vossler. Like schedule Eastern, man.
Yeah.
That would be a good game.
Yeah,
like,
Westfield would be all right against
like that would be a good game. I would
like
to
a Pilati or something.
Right. I would like to see a Madison versus a Damascus. That would be an awesome game.
Yeah, I mean those are right. I mean the up county teams in Madison, they can handle those guys.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And then the county, Fairfax County there's 2 slots that they have to fill themselves.
Yep.
Oh, got it.
Their schedule.
Got it.
So like Centerville had to put Stonebridge on their schedule this year, which I'm like, that's good.
That's a good game.
Finally.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But but when you continuously front load your schedule, like for example, it kills me the county that I live in, Prince William County. The best teams from the west side of the county don't even play the best teams from the east
I
side
know.
of the county.
I saw you mention that. I looked that up. That is interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And so they don't see each other during the playoffs.
Right.
And so every year, like I get heartbroken as the hometown guy because you guys are front runners on the backside of your schedule, all of these cupcake teams that you play on the back end.
Right.
You mow through your entire division.
You're not very competitive.
And then I bring my daughter, who's a future athlete at your school, and my son, who's a future athlete at your school, and you break our hearts on a Friday night every year in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Every year. It
Every year.
never fails. Right. So, and that's no shade to anybody.
No.
But if you're playing better competition in the beginning of the season, in my opinion, and you're doing the right things in the off season and
Correct.
taking care of your guys.
Yes.
And I know it's the battle of attrition because Finn, he said, Andrew, we don't have enough players for that sometimes. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
you got it. I understand. Then he said, Andrew, we don't have a 4-4 guy. And I said, okay, you got it.
Roger that.
I get it and I understand, but you're only as strong as your weakest link, and if all you have on film is you beating up on the smaller teams, then
That does no service to your team either.
absolutely.
No,
Once
no.
you get punched in the mouth, how does your team respond?
Yeah, and when I was listening to Patriot Coach on the last podcast, he was talking about that. He's like, "Yeah, we got to get these scrimmages rolling so that when we play, I forget what team he's talking about, that they're ready to play because they're going to get punched, and then they'll see them in the playoffs again, right?" And I think that's important. Like we set up, we scrimmage Churchill out of Montgomery County, a scrappy team that's playoff bound every year, and then we scrimmage Landon, which was a IAC.
Landon's tough.
Yeah, like they always have big
game
kids.
away.
Yeah, they're one kid away, big kids. They play prep and Bullis in St. Albans that league, and then we go into that collegiate game, so we got 2 legit scrimmages.
Yeah.
Well, controlled practice with Churchill, and then 2 quarter scrimmage with Landon. Then we're ready to roll. But
Right.
2 scrappy teams, and you have to do that because if you schedule cupcakes as a scrimmage, any young head coach knows this. It doesn't set you up for success because that you literally need a quarter or 2 to reset, and then you're in the motion. Where if you kind of got a little physical beforehand, a couple weeks before, that first hit is not as great as it would be.
Yeah, I don't even like the scrimmage concept. I was talking to the guys earlier.
We reinvented it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So like when I was the one year that I played with the Jags, we had an inter squad practice with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
And it was great because there were more bodies, there were more drills and more reps. Right, you got to take a little load off of the starters because really what you're trying to do is you're trying to build the second tier and that third string guy, third string guys.
But in the league, though, the second guy is the first guy.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's how it works.
Exactly.
What I've seen.
Yep.
Like that guy is a toe injury away from
That's
starting.
it.
And
Next
the
man up mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
And the third string's probably
He's a fringe guy.
Some metric is different than the 1 and 2, right?
That's all it is, man. That's all it
yeah.
is. So it's the fringe guy who's trying to get more reps on film, right? That's why that practice is important. But more importantly, the guys who've already made the team, they can go and get their 1 or 2 reps per drill. They can go during team. They're 1 on and then 3 off, and then 1 on and then 3 off. And it really, rather than 2 weeks before the season, you're going in there and you already know these kids are hyped up to hit another jersey.
Oh yeah. They're tired of their teammates.
And then you're telling them them to scale it back. You can't even tell professionals to scale that stuff back. And that's why they limit their reps.
And that's a great point. So like we kind of reinvented the scrimmages when you come here. So and Woodbury Forest, shout out to Jackson Mateo. We kind of done this where you do situational football. Right. Where it's not just throw the ball down 10 plays, 10 plays, 10 plays,
That's
10
right.
plays. Like my last year as a offense coordinator, we did 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, right?
No way.
And my receiver played 30 plays in a row.
Yep.
And then he gets a screen pass and he pulls his hamstring.
Of course he does.
And I'm like, and I threw the headset and I was like, why is he still out here? And then we're actually supposed to run the ball, but he threw the screen pass and he popped his hamstring. And it's because he played 30 plays in a row, offense, defense, and then another offense, right? And so we tried to think like outside the box. So, we're doing red zone. We're doing 2-minute drill.
9 on 7.
We're doing one-on-ones with the lineman on the other end of the field, filming it.
Half line Skelly.
You're doing half line Skelly. You're doing run fit.
Yep.
Or thud.
Yep.
Right? We're doing run fit for thud, right? So it's like, yes, you want to hit him, but you're not going to the ground.
Correct.
But we're installing our duo, inside zone, counter power.
Read fits, all
right.
that.
And come. do work, right? Get the end, but we're going to read you. We're going to pull, right? And then we go to scrimmage, and it's like, all right, it's 1st and 10. You don't get the first down, you're out.
Yep.
And then, we'll line up special teams. We'll kick the ball. Boom, you're on. And it's a scrimmage type with refs, but it's not that BS 10, 10, 10, 10,
right,
where there's no yard markers. Coaches are on the field. Maybe there's a ref or two there.
Right.
No, we want it legit every single time, and everyone leaves healthy.
Yep.
And then you got football in, right? And especially the linemen doing the 1-on-1s, right? Or rushing 3 or rushing 4, and then 7-on-7 with the skill guys. We do a little, probably 15 to 20 plays, so that, and we tell coaches, do cover 2, do cover 3, do cover 4, do something different. Don't just line up in your zone and drop 6 when we're doing 7-on-7, right? Be realistic. Blitz that safety, or if you're running a 3-4, blitz that middle linebacker, or blitz that outside guy, because you know what you're doing a game.
Sure.
You're not dropping 8 guys on a 3-by-1 concept.
Right.
Right. So I think more realistic football is important. Also, the health and safety of the kids.
Yes.
Right. You go 40 plays in a row. That's a lot of contact. Right. That's maybe more in a game. Right. And especially in a scrimmage. And that's supposed to be lighter work. Right.
It's supposed to be. Yeah.
And the safety is the biggest thing. And then that controlled practice that we have with Churchill, that's going to be full pads, but no one's going to the ground until maybe the last series when we go live, right? Yep. Because that's their first real contact. Same with us. And I think it's so important to be healthy throughout that preseason, but to get working.
Yeah.
And then the kids know that it's go time when it's need to be. And then, we rock the Guardian caps. So in practice and then in the scrimmages, and that's been a huge, and shout out to Guardian caps for that. They've really helped us in practice, and, injuries have, there's what they do great. The Guardians cap do great is incidental contact, right? And, in practice, that one kid who's not paying attention that can get nicked in the head, or they're falling to the turf. I think it's a big help for us. We haven't worn them in games yet, but they're mandatory for us in practice. So
cool.
They look good. The kids now understand they have to wear them in practice, even in walkthroughs, right? So it's good for that. Yeah,
situational football, in my opinion, is one of the most important components of practice. And I didn't realize this until I got to Syracuse, and we started practicing for game weeks. One day it was 1st and 10 and 3rd and short.
Yep.
The next day it was 2nd and long and 3rd and long.
Right.
And when coaches install practice and team periods where you're giving athletes situation, you give us more game awareness.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You give them more game awareness. I can look at the sticks and say, all right, 1st and 10 from practice, here are the key runs that they used to that coaches, the coach put on film for me. Here's what I saw on film. And 3rd and long, here's what I saw on film. But if you just go out there, to your point, coach, and you're just running live scrimmage, it's just chaos.
It's chaos.
It's chaos.
It's chaos. You see kids falling on the ground, and you're like, get up.
Yeah.
We're trying to run right now, man. Get your butt up.
Yeah.
Right?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say, to your point, what I learned from you about what you came back with Syracuse and what you just said about running, it's actual game. It's what Bill Belichick did with the Patriots.
Correct.
Everything was always situational football. He didn't just practice. It was always, what is this team run? Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then you guys did it as cues. This is what they're running. Here's what you're going to see. And then you practice that. Yep. All of a sudden now, what does that do? It's mentally stored. Yeah. And now I'm not dumping that because I know this is going to happen. So I'm playing free. I'm faster on the field. Yep.
And as athletes, everyone knows you've been in a situation before. You're comfortable. Mm-hmm. You've seen it. Mm-hmm. Or like we do in special teams. We all our coaches coach a special team in our program, which I love. We don't have a special teams coordinator, so you would do kickoff team, I would do punt block, you would do kickoff return. Okay. So every coach has a buy-in, right? And I kind of oversee all the special teams and make sure who's going there, but our position coaches coach a special team, which I love.
Right.
Right. So it creates a competition within our coaching staff as well. Who's got the biggest ballers out there? And we don't put our role players on special teams. It is a unit. It is a pack of dogs on all our special teams, and we have won more games in special teams because of that emphasis that in the last 3 years than I think I've in my 12 years prior to Potomac. And we do situational awareness stuff where we're backing the punt team up to the 5-yard line. Oh. Long snapper's got to snap in the end zone, right? We do bad snaps on purpose.
Real situation.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, how does the punt? Is the punter supposed to kick it out of bounds? Is he supposed to scoop it up, punt? What is he supposed to do?
Yep.
So that is there, right? So that this 17-year-old long snapper, who's a pretty good long snapper, and then what does he do when what does the punter do when the snap is bad, right? So I think that's really important.
I mean, that's a whole Thursday practice at college.
Correct.
It's just situation.
Yeah.
You know, and coaches appreciate that too.
Yeah, yeah.
We talk about that like college ready, athlete ready. Why would I come and offer this 17-year-old a scholarship
Right.
when I have this 21-year-old who's already battle tested, game ready? That's what makes the difference.
Correct.
You know, how's he going to act in practice? Is he going to fall on the ground?
Correct.
Right? Can he move from period to period and be focused and stay locked in? Right?
Correct.
That's the different. Those are some of the differentiators.
Absolutely.
Right. And then you also said something earlier about like the compatibility that these kids need to realize between them and the realism that they have at making the next level.
Yes.
I want to touch on that a little bit because when we were in Houston, that was one of the biggest things that people found awesome about the app that we created at Levels is a kid will be able to tell the app what they want out of a college experience, an institutional experience, a coaching experience, but then also put verified statistics on there.
Yeah, good info, good times, everything.
Yeah, that's verified by guys like you.
Right.
Yes.
And then coaches at the collegiate level will tell the app, this is what I want out of my defensive ends. This is what I want out of my quarterbacks. This is what I want out of per position.
Right.
And then the AI will basically say, well, I know you like Texas, but they don't recruit 5'9" edge rushers.
Right.
You know? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you like Virginia Tech.
Correct.
Right. But the days where we're doing
Corey Moore's,
you
the
know,
5'6".
the read option at the quarterback position,
Yeah.
those days are probably a little bit more limited
They
now.
might have
that
passed
you got
us. Yeah, they might have passed.
Right.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
As a you know, I've been teaching my whole life in high school, and you know, you don't want to crush dreams.
You don't, but
don't.
you definitely want to give the kid insight.
Right.
On
You're
where
doing yourself a disservice as a mentor and a coach and as an administrator in a school if you don't have that conversation with that young man and
Right.
that family.
Right.
Because if they have inflated expectations of themselves, that's fine. You should have some moxie, right? As a young man playing football, right? You're lifting weights, you look good, you feel good. You know, you should have that confidence. But if you're in between the ears confidence is unrealistic, that could create a problem.
Yeah.
Right? Because you feel that you should be doing something because you're comparing yourself to some other athlete.
Right.
You know, I have a couple kids that have offers already on my squad, and a couple other kids are saying, how do I get offers? And first question is, don't ask that question because you're comparing yourself to your teammate.
Right.
Right? What can you do to get better? What can you do outside of football to make yourself a more attractive candidate? How do you break out of the mold, right? And yes, you're a good player. Obviously, the other player has some intangibles that the schools like. Now, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be recruited. We just need to find a way for you to break into that mold.
Yeah.
And that's what the point he was getting at. The app helps solve those
Yes.
problems
Yeah.
and crush that bad conversation, as you were saying, where you're not having those hard conversations. It brings the reality to them.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, yeah, I mean, even from like a positional perspective, if you're 15 years old and you have aspirations to play at a certain position, the app will tell you, like, hey, other 15-year-olds who play that position are here, 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 and here.
Yeah.
You're within the lower percentile of those things. By the way, here are some people in the area that can help you with those things.
Yeah.
But like to your point, those conversations have to be had, and the parents have to be aware too.
Correct. Oh,
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
have to. Yes, you're absolutely right. Between a 14-year-olds, what's in between their ears, confidence
Not a lot.
is important. But also like the adult.
Just kidding, guys. Just kidding.
But also like the adult in the room.
Yeah, you
Right?
gotta. That's spot on. You gotta be the big dog in the room. Like we said, there has to be a leader, right? And parents. Listen, I love our parents at Potomac.
Yeah,
We have the best parents in the world, but they are intense because they want the best,
absolutely.
right? You're paying X amount, and we don't need to go into tuition dollars. You can look it up on the website. But we have a beautiful school, a wonderful faculty, and the parents want the best here. And everyone's asking me the first question outside of our community, like, oh, the parents. I'm like, I love our parents. Yeah, they're hard. And as a head coach, a lot of young head coaches don't understand this stuff outside the football field. And we can get into this, but it's a lot as a head coach. You don't understand the level of admin work that you have to do, and also run a coaching staff, and also deal with 60 teenage boys, right? And then 150 parents, right? And you have to be on your P's and Q's responding to emails, how you respond to emails. Also, you deal with your boss, my athletic director, Steve Latchett, who's great, my head of school, also our board of trustees, right? That's who I report to, right? So any young coordinator, any young head coach that has this dream of becoming a head coach, take notes on everything you do. Understand that it takes time to get to this level. I was a journeyman, but these positions aren't handed out. I feel like I've earned this.
Yeah.
And people have felt that way too. But I went through my ups and downs through this. But as a head coach, understanding that your parents want the best and to never isolate them. If you isolate your parents, you're going uphill. And it's a long hill and it's steep.
Especially in Nova.
Yeah.
Well, and we have guys, we have Nova, we have Maryland, we have DC.
That's right.
Right? So we have the top dogs.
You're getting the cream of the cream.
Yeah, and our parents want a good program, a safe program, and a good experience for them, right? And so I think knowing that you have, like I said, don't isolate your parents. They can be a lot, but they want to be involved, just like in their businesses, just like in their day-to-day, right? So incorporating their emotions and their feelings is essential for success, and not isolating and blocking them out. A lot of coaches I've worked with tend to kind of leave those parents on red, you know what I mean, on read, where it's like we don't really need to respond to those comments right away. And in reality, that could build up over time and kind of be
That's how it
detrimental.
snowballs, yeah.
And it snowballs, and there's some issues that need to be handled appropriately, and there's some issues that can wait, right? But I think as any young head coach, because I was, as I started my career at Walt Whitman in 2007 under my old head coach who I played for. So this is cool. So I went to Whitman. I had these great coaches growing up, some of the best mentors, and you'll recognize some of these names here in a second. So when I first got to Marty Dickerson, was a great basketball coach in our area. Unfortunately, he passed away. Rest in peace, Marty. Also, my math teacher, a great guy from Arkansas. Two of his sons played UVA and Maryland football. He then retired. This guy, Dean Swink, I don't know if this name's ever rung a bell. He was a former coach at Montgomery College, and he's from Frederick, Maryland. He became our head coach at Whitman. And then, does this name Eric Wallach ring a bell? Damascus head coach. So he won all the state titles at Damascus. He was our offensive coordinator.
Okay.
Right? So, and then we had this other guy, Jim Kuhn, who eventually became the head coach at Whitman. Andy Wetzel, and this other guy, Andy Wetzel and Jim Kuhn, and Eric Malling was another head coach at Wooten High School. So you had like 4 or 5 head coaches in my coach tree staff. So then Jim Kuhn took the job at Whitman, and then I got to coach under Jim, and he was my offensive coordinator.
Okay.
So we had a lot of fun, and that's what really built my love for teaching and coaching. I came out of college at High Point University, and I majored in sport management. I was working for my buddy's baseball company, Coa Sports, out of Bethesda, Maryland. And Coach Kuhn called me. He's like, Wolfie, man, get your butt over. Practice starts in 2 weeks. I was like, all right, cool.
I'm going to do it.
I'm here.
I was like, hey, I need a job, my guy. You got a job for me? He's like, yeah, we'll get you in the special ed department at Whitman. Just give me like a week. And then my assistant principal, Dr. Alan Goodwin, who became the principal of Whitman, called me a week later and got me a job over Whitman. Nice. So that's what started the career, really. And I was a decent high school football player. I wasn't the greatest, but I appreciated the grind. I was a fullback, offensive lineman, middle linebacker, DN, you name it, right? And I love being part of that culture. I love the grind. I love the process. My favorite time of year is preseason. Everyone's like, preseason, the heat, blah, blah. I'm like, no, this is a sacred time for high school football, right? And it's my favorite time because you got the boys, the squad, and that's you as one. Nothing else is going on. No basketball. I'm just kidding, Coach Myers.
Don't worry about these basketball guys. That's funny.
Coach, there's no Coach Myers. Hey, am I shooting around? No, I'm just kidding. But you just got the boys there for 2.5 weeks, right? And it's a grind. You got your coaching staff there, and preseason is a sacred time. And I I love it. The heat is hot, but it's part of the process, right?
Okay.
And but yeah, so this is my 13th year at Potomac.
Okay.
And I also am our learning specialist in the upper school. So I taught special ed at Whitman and emotional disabilities. I was a special ed teacher for 7 years. And I got my master's from Hopkins, special ed, in secondary education, 7 through 12. Then I came to Potomac in 2014, and I've been here ever since. So I help run our learning program in the upper school, which deals with our kids with learning differences. So anybody with accommodations, I assist at Potomac School in the upper school.
Got it.
And we help the teachers also implement plans, and we kind of make sure all our academic support's there and kind of one hub in the Learning Resource Center. And then I was able to coach under 2 great head coaches. Shout out Blake Henry, Mount St. Joe, former head coach out in Baltimore, and Loyola Blakefield. He played at Loyola Blakefield. He was head coach of Mount St. Joe when they were top 10
Okay.
for a while in Baltimore. And then he was here for 7 years, and I learned a lot from Blake. He played football at Northwestern Wake Forest, offensive tackle. Had a little cup of coffee in the NFL with the Falcons. But he's a football coach. You know, I came from Whitman where we always had a good public school team, right? He had to build something here at Potomac, right? And how he built it, how he built the culture was very interesting. I was his offensive coordinator, and it wasn't easy, right? He was very demanding, but high-profile coach. But, you know, he wanted to win, and he had his way of winning, and it was pretty eye-opening because the feedback I got from him is not what I wanted to hear, right? And as a young coach, you know, what do you got to work on? Like I said, body language, right? Your facial expressions. And that was something I really had to work on when you hear that stuff on the field or you're getting called out in front of the players. And in reality, that kind of helped me kind of shape myself as a coach. Like
Right.
what I want to do, what I don't want to do. And no negative on Blake, but he was a really big factor on kind of my development as a head coach. I felt as after that offensive coordinator for about 5 years under his tutelage, I was ready to roll. Right. And then he left, and then this great guy, CJ Remo, came in, and there was a debate on, you know, I was up for the job and Remo was up for the job, and we were very similar. He played D tackle at Central Michigan, and great dude. And, you know, the school went with him, and, you know, that was hard, right? Like, what do you were the offensive coordinator for a while. You've had boots on the ground here, and you know the culture well, and, you know, school made a decision, and what are you going to do about it? You're not going to cry about it. You're not, you know, obviously, I was disappointed, right? A lot of people around me were disappointed. My family was disappointed, and then you kind of have to take a little step back and say, "Am I ready for this?" Right? Where did I fall short? Right? And so, you know, after a few weeks went by, you know, I joined Remo's staff. I wasn't going to have spilt milk over it because this is a great school. I didn't want to get another job anywhere. So, you know, we're on Remo's staff, and I just kept grinding. I just kept taking notes. I just kept saying, this is how I want to build my program, you know, our culture, how we want to build the weight room, what I would do differently than Remo and Coach Henry, right, and what I would do the same way. And then I was just a note taker, an observer, right? And then Coach Remo left, and then I got the interim tag, which was tough, right? Because I again had to prove myself. And we dominated. We had a great year, and we had a great group, and we were 1-8 the year before that. We were 5-4 year after that, my second year, and 6-3 last year. So it's just a matter of the grind as a coach. Where as a coach, and there's a lot of coaches probably listening to this, if you want it, you just got to be a great assistant coach, do what you're supposed to do, grind, and your time will come.
Like everything else.
That's literally life. That's literally life.
And I've interviewed a lot of young coaches that are like, I want to be a coordinator, right? All right, well, go on the whiteboard, draw me up 4 formations, draw up mesh, draw up sail, draw up bootleg, give me zone, duo, dart. If you can't do that, you can't be an offensive coordinator in high school football, right? And it's just draw me up 4 formations, right? And if you struggle with that, you got to learn more, right? Draw up power. Right now, drop counter, 2x2, go, right? No read, draw me a simple RPO.
Right.
Draw me a simple 2x2 concept, right? That you would beat man press. So those are the things that, you know, a lot of young coaches that I'm like, settle, do your position well, coach your butt off, right? Bring the energy every single day and enjoy the process, because that's what the kids are looking at. The kids know when there's a coach that's not happy. on the field, right? They know. You remember as players, you're like, this coach is all in, this coach is kind of in, and I don't even remember his name, right? And that's tough, right? When you're a high school kid, you're very observant, right? And you can't fake around these kids now. They know real. And they'll call it out. They're smart. Any school kids are smart, but they know who's invested, and that's when you get the most out of them, especially at our Potomac School kids. So I think, my coaching philosophy, and I've learned this through the years, is that you got to match my energy. One, if you're not on that page, then you're lost. But I'm going to bring the energy every single day, and the kids know that, and the school knows that, and you can hear my voice from across campus. It's not quiet, but I'm training my assistant coaches to take my job. That's how my philosophy. Now, do I want them to take my job? No, of course not. But I think that's the level where I want them to be at. I have a director of football operations who's my head JV football coach, right? That's where we are now because we travel. We have 60 plus now, right? We're not like a traveling road show with 30 kids. We got full JV team, full varsity team, and we got equipment, we got headsets, we got the tackling donuts. It's a big deal that we do, and when we go to away games, it's a legit setup. You got the tents, you got the whole sideline, you got the replay system, you got the everything, and it's not like a college program, but it's getting there, and it feels like that, right? And then you have the fanfare, and then you have that. So little by little, we're increasing our exposure, and our kids that I see are having fun, right? And we have a great social media team, just like you guys, that have pumped our videos up and highlighted certain players, and and we could get into the DMV Coach Association here, highlighting that as well. And we're creating a brand of football where kids want to be involved with it. And the big thing is internal recruiting as well. Yes, I could bring pieces in here and there, right, to fulfill certain roles. But if I don't build the program from within our walls, we're not going to do well, right? And that's really important because I don't want to alienate those kids that are working their butts off to try to play while bringing in recruits, right? Sure. Now, you can bring in some fun pieces here and there that are superstars that are fun, that do really well. But I think internally, the foundation of our program has to come from within. And that's one of my big goals is to keep that going and just to keep it fun, right? If you're having fun playing football, you're playing loose, but also putting in the necessary work, you're going to kill it. You're going to do a great job. So that's really the goal.
Right. So 13, 14 years, are you going on your 15th?
This will be my 13th year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I just finished my 12th. This will be my 13th year at Potomac. Yep.
So what do you want to accomplish this year, and what makes this year a little bit more different than the previous years?
Great. That's a great question. I think this year we returned some healthy players, right? We have 17 seniors, right? We graduated 16 last year. In our junior class, we have 22. In our sophomore class, we have about 23. So our numbers are very healthy. In our 8th grade class, we're going to have over 20 as well. So, we're anticipating, anywhere between 60 and 65, 68, maybe 70 kids this year. And that's a lot for Potomac football. Normally, if we're north of 45, 50, it's healthy. Mm-hmm. But now, this year, I can have a full JV team with a 5-6 game schedule. And then we have a really competitive varsity team for a 9-game schedule. So this year, our summer weight room participation has been the best since I've ever been here. And I changed some things. Before this outstanding facility, we would have morning and afternoon times to lift. So like maybe you didn't work, you'd come in the morning at 8 a.m., get a lift in. Or if you worked, come in the afternoon. It didn't really have the team component to it where you lift together as a team, which is so special in high school football. The boys lift, they go get some grub afterwards, and that's a very memorable experience, right, as a young man. Mm-hmm. You're in that together. So I changed it this year where we lift Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 to 6 as a team. And we've seen the numbers increase tremendously.
Good.
And a lot of our kids, we have this entrepreneurial finance and business program at Potomac, and they're required to get an internship from junior or senior year, and they wouldn't be able to work out in the morning anyway. So this time in the evening gives our boys the ability to lift together as a team. And the other day, we had 35, 36 kids out here, all grades. Right now, there's some kids on vacation still, but they're getting work in, at the beach or whatever. But now I think the change that we've seen is that our kids are conditioned and strong before August 16th. And it's not necessarily next week we have our team camp. And a lot of kids used to treat that team camp as their first time to lift all summer because we go 3 lifts there, and then we do the following week the lifts. So you get about 5 or 6 lifts in. But, we've had kids that have been here 13, 14, 15 times.
Okay.
Right? So, and you can see it. They look good. Like, they're strong, they're big, and they're fast. And then we have a strength coach that does all our agility and plyometric stuff before the lift. And then they get in here for a 45-minute lift, and they get after it on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's the biggest thing I've seen the change of. And then the other thing I've seen is more internal communication from our players for captain's practices, right? Before, I would have to schedule those, or offensive coordinator Cam Bryant would have to schedule those. Now the kids are doing those on their own. And when I get here, I'll see them thrown up on our practice field up there or on the turf. And, they got 10, 12 kids out there running routes. And like I said, it doesn't need to be organized. Like, you don't need a practice plan. You know how to run a hitch. You know how to run a slant. You know how to run an out. You know how to run a dig. You know how to run a post. You know how to run a corner. Go 3x1, 2x2. You have the playbook on Huddle. Put it up on your phone, right? All the installs are right there. You don't need me there. If you need me there, fine. But, if you need the footballs, great. I'll get you the footballs. But you guys know how to break into the shed anyway and get the footballs. So
Taking ownership. I like it.
go get the footballs, right? And then when we get going, when we're coaching, then we can kind of curtail some things and get going. But this year, not to give away too much, but our whole O-line's returning. So we got some big boys up front, and we're excited. They're athletic, they're fast. We got this anchored by our center, Sam Kim. He's like 6 foot, 260 pounds, right? Just a freaking bull, right? And he's been our starting center for 3 years, and that's a crucial position, right? No bad snaps, no nothing. Knock on wood. So, and we got a fun JV quarterback coming up, and he's excited. He's he played in the Bullis game last year, so he was thrown into the fire. Our quarterback, Sean Sutherland, graduated. He's at Delaware now, so he's throwing the football up at Delaware and playing football up there. And, Sean started for the past 2 years and did a great job for us, threw the ball around and was a really fun quarterback, had a great arm, and really excelled his senior year and propelled us to a lot of victories. And his twin brother, Brendan, is at Christopher Newport at receiver as well. And Akeem Scandrew graduated, is over at Navy playing basketball, and, he's a plebe summer right now. But our junior quarterback coming up is going to be great. He knows how to the offense. He's athletic. We got to make sure he understands that he's the face of the franchise. I think that's really important for that position. And you have to lead from within, from that quarterback position, or you can't play it, right? We all know we've been with good teams with good players. The behavior has been not very good, and that's very detrimental to your success. And I'm not saying this quarterback's behavior is bad in any way, but we need leadership out of that position. It can't be a quiet one, right? That needs to be the face of the franchise rolling. And he'll be fine, and we have a great backup quarterback as well. And then we have some very fun receivers, that are going to do very well for us.
What's the defense talking about?
So defense is, so we got that whole offensive line return. So a lot of those guys go both ways, but we do it by committee. So our defensive coordinator, Levi Franklin, does a great job where if you're playing a series of offense, we try to get some other guys in there, but some of our bigger dudes, we try to get a D tackle at DN, right? But we try to go by position as well, by committee, so that, some of those guys are on special teams too. So last year we were 4-3, 3-4 team, depending on how riddled we were. And Coach Franklin is just the master genius of blitzes, and he gives teams fits, right? And we're aggressive on the blitz. We sometimes can get burned by the blitz, but you play Potomac, you're going to get blitzed. So it's a matter of, can you throw the ball and can you block internally? Because if you can sometimes get the ball moving inside of us, blitzes are in the wrong gaps, that's where you get us, right? You can kind of get through the line that way. But we have those big boys are going to be great up front. Our whole secondary returns as well, so that those guys are going to be locked in. And then we're just got to figure out, we have one good linebacker right now. We need to figure out 2 more.
Because you lost that one we were talking about outside.
Yeah, Gus. Gus.
Man, he was
flying
GT. Around.
Yeah, GT. He's a menace, right? And he's at Navy too.
Okay.
So, at these guys that he's a menace. He's trying out for football in 2 weeks up there. But yeah, Gus was, before Gus was Richard Perry, who was, 5'10", 215, and, would knock you out, right? And he was a gentle giant, and then Gus came. So we've had very good middle linebackers the past about 5 or 6 years. And, Gus had 100-something tackles last year and, ran the ball for us as well. But he was a maniac. So we have to fill those 2 positions as well. But that linebacker position has become a sense of pride for our program, which is kind of cool because, normally it's a quarterback or receiver, and we've had these two kind of badass kids kind of go through that position. So now the next one up is kind of like, oh, who are we going to replace Richard and Gus with? So it's kind of like a mystique, which I kind of love. But yeah, the defensive line will be anchored by a stud, Jonathan Jordan, rising junior, 28. He's got an offer from Yale and Penn right now, and it's just a matter of time. I mean, this kid's a special kid, and you can't miss him on the field, and a great kid too. So, he's going to be a beast, and he also plays receiver, which is kind of crazy, but he's very gifted, he's very fast, he's very strong. So we're very excited for him. And then we have another one, Wyatt Overman, who's a rising junior, 29, who's a big time lineman and getting looks at by Nescacs and Ivies right now. So we got some guys coming in. We got some good sophomores coming up. Michael Gregory, Solomon Mitchell, rising junior Jay White, and then one of our captains, Tristan Davis. So, and you'll see him all over the field. He plays the nickel. He's at the Morehouse camp right now. So knock on wood, he gets that offer from Morehouse. And he'll be our running back as well, like a possession running back. He runs the ball hard, but he's like that nickel outside linebacker that will get you. And he's a strong kid, and he was voted unanimously captain. We got a couple captains this year, but he was one of them. And we're very excited about his ability and just the balance of our team. We got numbers. We got kids coming out. Like I was talking about basketball, a household named Declan Conley, who's an outstanding power forward in our area, was DMV Live All-Star. He's 6'3", 6'4", tight end. Like that guy can move, catching. He's got great range, and coupled with sophomore Micah Greger and Solomon Mitchell, just track stars. It's gonna be fun offense to watch. So I'm pretty pumped, and our coaching staff's pumped, and our school's excited. It's really important for a football team to start the year off on the right foot, because that sets the tone for the school atmosphere, right? When we struggle, everyone's kind of like, oh man, like this is stuff. But when we're winning and playing really good football, playing the game the right way, the school kind of is picking us up with them, right? And that's really important.
Yeah.
So I love that, and we have leaders on our team that are in our school as well who are leaders. So you can't help but not support our team, which is exciting because you have good kids that care about football, and then the school is embracing their kind of love for the game as well. So you're starting to see much more support for those boys. And it's important, and especially in private schools, teachers wear 10 hats, right? You're an advisor. You can work in admissions. You can coach. You can run a summer camp, et cetera, right? So you're involved in these kids' lives outside of sports. So a lot of our teachers support our boys and girls on the athletic field. So it's not uncommon to see 10 teachers at a football game on a Saturday. And one of my favorites, Dick Lillis, a Latin teacher, holds the chains every home game. And but he likes hearing the vocabulary from the away side, the coaching staff. So he's holding the chains, and he's trying to give me stuff. And I'm like, I don't need to hear it. But it's just fun to have that support. And I know the boys feel supported about it. And that's really the goal of that, is to create a good, wholesome environment where the kids are supported because of their efforts. Football's hard, man. Football's really hard. Like I had a great football camp last week at Potomac, rising 6th through 9th graders, where we put helmets and shoulder pads on them, right? It's the only football camp in the DMV with pads that I know of. And it's a transitional camp. Our kids that play flag football, they've never put on pads before. This is their opportunity to put on pads, right? And we even had some injuries in that camp. So football is a hard sport, right? And it's a matter of how do we support those kids with their bodies and the academics and the outside social stuff, so that it could that football is their outlet for them. And, I always say, you had a bad day. Our slogan is win the day at Potomac, right? So our football team, excuse me. But, you're having a bad day at school. Okay, I get it. Great. But, football field, like, get after it, man. Like, go get it. This is your opportunity. And then you can relive your feeling time, out after the football field. But this is your time to shine. Right. Don't mope. Don't, if you're hurt, go to the training room. Don't hang out in the training room if you're not hurt. That's the ultimate negative, right? That's not a lounge. Dr. Barnes and Karen Medler would send your butt out back up to the practice facility if you were spending time there too much. But I think the football field is sacred for us as former players. And I think what keeps me up at night is, am I doing enough for these kids, right? And I know I'm doing enough, but did I coach the best of my ability each day? And there's times I don't have a voice, right? After practice, there's coaches pouring water on me, and you got to have the juice, right? And if you don't have that every day, the kids know that. There was a couple times last year I was sick, and kids like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right. Move your butt over there. I'm fine. I'm gonna get you sick." But they sense that stuff. So that's really, like I said, what keeps me up at night is am I doing enough for these boys? And winning is fun, but are we having the important experience? Right. That's really it.
Right. All right, man, before we get you out of here, Coach, anything you want to tell the community, anything you want to tell the parents that are coming out this year, new parents that are enrolling this year, or maybe even future enrollees who are thinking about Potomac?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. To our parents, thank you so much to our current parents. Thank you for all your support and everything you do for Potomac School football and Potomac. Thank you to the Levels podcast. This is awesome. Like I said, I could talk all day.
Yeah.
And we go part 2, part 3, part 4.
We can, man. We can. Josh is going to kill us, but we can't.
Sorry, brother.
I see you looking around. Like you guys
this is a special place, right? A special school, and it's a fun community. My kids go here. My daughter Corby, she's going to be in 3rd grade. My son Hugh will be in 1st grade. So the Wolff family is all in at Potomac, right? And we're building something special here. And I think but any culture takes time. Like, I know we'll take our hits here and there, but as long as that the kids show up and that and I know that we're doing it the right way, I know the parents are appreciative that we're doing it the right way as well. So I think, to our new students enrolling at Potomac, welcome. The ones that are playing Potomac School football, it's an experience that you'll never forget, and I'm very thankful that you're playing football. And we're excited for our team camp next week and for August 16th when we start. So thank you for that. But thank you guys. This was awesome.
Oh, man.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course, man. Of course. What we do have an ask for all the coaches that we have on the pod moving forward. Next year, we plan on hosting like a top 150 combine / seminar for the class of 28s and 29s.
Excellent.
28s, right? Because they would be rising juniors.
28s, yeah.
Yeah, and we want to do it in between where most colleges have their spring game.
Yeah, before the dead period.
And before that dead period.
Yeah. That's huge.
And the idea is to not only run the meat market, where we're inviting the few of those top kids out and doing the testing, doing the competition, but we also want to, because it's an open recruiting period, we also want to lock down a facility where these coaches are coming in and having conversations with these kids and these families one-on-one or on a platform. But we're also inviting the Charles Schwabs and Fidelities of the world to teach these kids financial literacy.
Yeah.
We're also bringing in resources to teach them academic prowess and prestige. Maybe Potomac can be a part of that.
Absolutely.
We're also bringing in different resources to introduce to them, to teach them about NIL and brand recognition, marketing, and things like that, how to increase their brand. And we definitely want Potomac to be and your student athletes to be a part of that.
Okay, thank you.
So from us to you, put it on your radar, man. We'll be coming for at least a handful of your kids to bring them back.
That's right up our alley.
Yeah,
like what you said, you're pairing them for life,
That's right?
And football is great, and you have all the testing and whatnot, but like you throw in the job placement things.
That's right.
You can work on resumes, you can do LinkedIn profiles. I mean, there's so many things you could do with that. I think it's a great idea, because anything to prepare these kids for the next level of life is essential.
Yeah.
Because we know, even we see these kids going through college applications, they're struggling to write their essays because it's a lot of work.
That's right.
Right? And they got to do other things. They're working, they got jobs, or they're going to football practice. So anything to assist that process, we're all in.
Yep. And we're the same way, man. We just want to make the DMV the obvious choice when college coaches come here.
Yeah, and when Fran Brown recruits the DMV, baby.
You already know, man.
Let's go, baby.
He's coming.
Man. Fran's no joke, man. He's a good dude.
We love him, man. I love what he's doing up there. The first alumni.
Coach Cates, too.
Coach Cates is a great guy.
Oh, man.
The first time he sat on like a webinar or a Zoom call with all the alum, he was like, first of all, I'm sorry for the bullshit that's been going on here.
You're right.
Second of all, I'm going to get some SEC linemen in here, because the shit we got is some I mean, he was. I'm not gonna, continue to use the language.
Dude,
that he has here.
I heard Fran talk. I know the language.
He was dropping. He was not happy with the roster that he had inherited.
If you're from Camden, New Jersey,
Yeah.
I got you. I'm gonna listen, brother. You know what I mean? That's what I told Fran. I was like, yes, sir.
Yep.
But Dre's the man too. I mean, Dre's been through in the DMV, right? He's passionate. He wants to be a head coach, right? God bless him. And he's trying to do that DMV Coach Association with Coach Ron Anthony and Coach Quick, and he's grinding, and they're trying to make Syracuse a power. And God bless him. Let him do it. And
It's gonna happen, man. Especially if he keeps happening here. You know what I mean?
and that Carrier Dome is awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a
Definitely.
good
It
spot.
is.
It's
It
a
is.
good spot to
Now that
play.
they finally have some air conditioning.
But I love connecting with those coaches because they're real, right? And that's what I strive to be, right? In terms of you trust me that I'm going to provide a good programming for your kid. That's really the most important part, right? And then like alumni, you're like, all right, Coach Brown's got it.
Yep.
Now he may struggle this year, he may kill it again. It all depends on. But in that culture, unfortunately, the top 50 football. What do you have to do? You got to win.
You got to win, man.
You got to.
It's a revolving
win.
door.
And when Fran was talking about that at the DMV Coach Association, he's like, dude, if I don't win, I'm gonna get fired. Doesn't matter my skin color. Doesn't matter this X, Y, Z. And I thought about that. I was like, damn, like he's a great coach, right? But that's a revolving door.
That's right.
And he knows that. He knows his time is limited. Now I hope it's not. I hope it's 10 years of success and then he's off to his next job or in the NFL or something, right? But, I mean, when you think about that perspective, like, look at Matt Campbell at Penn State. He came and talked about it. He's like, I could be fired tomorrow before the season starts, right? And then you think about that, it's like, wow, man, like that's a real tough world.
Yep.
Tough world. But I wish him success up there. And I love chatting with him but just chatting with all those coaches, man. It's fun. They're like celebrities to us.
Yeah.
Right? You see him on TV. You see him in interviews. Like I know Locks well. And I see Locks all the time. I'm like, man, let's Coach Locks. Like, what's up, dude? And he'll tap me up. And you're like, man, that's pretty cool, man. And, you see Locks at these, I work with this guy, Scott McBrien. I don't know if you heard of the McBrien Foundation. Quarterback DeMatha. He has a great foundation where he helps kids help through the recruiting process, but mentorship as well. And Scotty played at Maryland, stud at Maryland. And Akeem Scandry worked with him and helped him through the recruiting process, helped him through the mentoring, helped him get through all these things. And the McBrien Group's still going on. But, you get to connect all these guys, these high-profile coaches, and you're like, yeah, I got his cell phone number, right? I call Fran right now, right, or Dre, or it's cool. Brown head coach, Harvard head coach. It's like but you can't abuse it, right? Which is really important. But it's fun as a football coach to make these inroads and connecting and recruiting, but also just to knock ideas around, right? Alex Colt, who's the offensive line coach at Towson, went to Potomac. Right, and he's like, come to practice anytime you want, and that's Baltimore. It's 45 minutes away, but you get valuable experience as a head coach.
Absolutely,
those type practices where it's not like I'm on the sideline. You're Coach Colt, and I'm right now, and there's the lineman right there, right? So it's a really valuable experience as a coach. So thanks, guy. I know. I'm sorry, I'm talking.
Man, you're good. You're good. It's just we appreciate you, man, and keep doing what you're doing. We're gonna come holler at you throughout the season just to check you out. And,
please do.
And it's probably gonna be that O'Connell game.
I think that should be a target, right?
Or like a Flint, or is the Flint game?
Well, the Flint game's at Flint Hill.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to do the O'Connell game, that's
is that
4th,
here?
10-4, October 4th here.
We're gonna have to. We'll have to.
We were gonna do the Friday Night Light game there, but we're moving it to Saturday, 10-4. That'll be O'Connell. That'll be a good one.
Okay. Yeah. And
he's got some new players coming in too. It'll be a good game.
Yeah. And anything that we could do for you throughout the season,
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Anything we could do for you after the season, even if it's coming in here and just shooting you a big promo video for the up and coming season.
We love social media here. Our kids are not just like me. Our kids are not scared of the camera. Yeah. So they're well versed. You know what I mean?
And then anything you need from us, man, just let us know. We do appreciate your time.
This was great.
And keep balling, keep grinding.
We will.
And we know that the more that athletics develops at the collegiate level, the more you guys are going to move with it too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So man, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
really
absolutely
appreciate
appreciate
you for everything. That was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Later, guys.
Later.
Whew.